Hey guys, welcome to the Skolo Online YouTube channel, the channel that is all about learning. Okay, so let's get through the admin very quickly. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you get notified every time that we produce a new video on this channel. We generally have a new video every week on this channel. Okay, and in the video that you're watching, have a look at the description below it. So just scroll down and press on that show more button underneath there, and you're going to see a lot of useful links and information. So if you hear me say I'm going to link it in the description below, that's where you're going to find the link. All right, and then we're going to have video timestamps as well, so we help you along so that you can quickly navigate to certain parts of the video. You don't have to watch the entire video. You could just click at a timestamp and it will take you to that part of the video, and then you can watch that. And if you come back in the future, you can use the timestamps again to navigate to the different parts of the video. And of course, we're going to have links to our social media channels and Medium publication, because maybe we're going to write up this tutorial in Medium as well. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can get in contact with us directly on our website. Okay, so let's get learning. In today's video, I'm going to, because I got a lot of requests on OpenAI Codex, and specifically how you would get Codex to be able to like produce a whole website for you, using just you give it prompts and it generates a website for you using prompts. Okay, so I sort of tinkered a little bit with it and I was able to figure that out, and we are gonna build a website today using OpenAI Codex. And if you are a normal person and you're not a coder, you don't have to code, you don't know how to code HTML and CSS, you could just basically give the Codex instructions on the kind of website you want to build, and it's going to generate HTML code for you that you can then deploy and create a website like that. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And if you can sort of like utilize some of your thinking here, you could actually program this and create like a landing page generator, because I got that request as well in the past at some point. How would you use Codex to build create a landing page, a generator? It would be as simple as running this code automatically in the backend and having people putting the inputs that must go into the landing page, and then having your generator generate the HTML and then running it into a landing page. Okay, so let's get started. Of course, you have to have an OpenAI account, and I'm going to link this in the description below, but it's very simple in case you don't find it. It's just openai.com/API. Okay, so get over there, get started, create an account, get an API key, and so forth. All right, but today, everything that we're going to do will be online. All right, so we're going to do everything on the playground. All right, so once you've logged in, all right, you can open the OpenAI playground. Okay, and this is the code, and I'll link this as well in the description below, the starting code for the playground. Okay, and when you get here, of course, you need to have the Codex access. All right, so Codex access is not standard, not everybody got it. You need to apply for it. All right, and I did a video 3 weeks ago showing you how to apply for Codex, and I told you that in future I'm going to do more Codex videos. I gave you a little bit of time to do an application and get your thing, because I got mine approved in about 2 weeks time. So if you had watched that video and submitted an application for Codex, you should have it run about now, okay? And if you don't, just go back and watch that video and then apply to get Codex access, and then come back in 2 weeks and then watch this video again. Because when you get started, if you go to the playground and you look to the right over here, you will see at the top it says engine. Okay, so the engine is the type of model that you run for your for your AI API. All right, so there are different engines depending on what you're trying to do, and different engines cost different amounts and work different speeds and have different capabilities and so forth. Okay, so you gotta know which engine to work with. So if you look over here and you click and you open down there, when you get started and you just get a normal API key, you're only going to have this initial GPT-3 engines, okay, which are the standard engines that everybody has, and you get charged for this. But when you open an account the first time, you'll get a credit that will last you a good month or so, or 2 months without paying, so that you can try the system out. And then after that, of course, you're gonna have to pay, but this is as cheap as it's gonna get for an AI API. Otherwise, trying to build your own AI, well, I think a couple of dollars or cents for a call is it's something you can afford to pay. Then the second part is the Codex API. Now these engines are not standard. So when you do the application, you get approved. When you come into your playground, you will see these ones appearing. So these are the ones we're going to work with today. All right. So I've only ever used Codex DaVinci 001. It's the most capable one. And right now we're not getting charged for anything. So, everything is free because they're still in the beta phase and they're still testing the stuff out. Now, what I wanted to demonstrate to you today here is the first thing that I struggled with a lot, and maybe some people that are going to get access to Codex for the first time might have the same struggle, is how to get an API how to get a coding language, right? And the documentation is very, very brief on this, and there isn't a lot of videos out there, right? So I'm going to show you, because I tinkered a bit with the system and I figured out how to get the API to produce a certain language of code that you want, right? So I'm going to open a different playground window there. I'm going to wait for it to load. It's taking a bit of a while. Okay, let me just copy that and paste that there. All right, so this is taking a long time to load. I don't know why that's okay. There we go. All right. So I'm on Code DaVinci. Yes, I wanted to show you something. So when you come here, it's not very clear, like sort of what language you're gonna get back from the codex. So let's say you wanted it to give you Python code. All right. You could give it Python instructions. And if you're quite familiar with Python programming, you would know that every time that you highlight out code in Python, you generally use this, sign, the pound sign. And then when you're writing Python code and you do that, it highlights out the line. So it becomes like a comment that you put. Another way of putting a comment in Python is using the triple comment. All right. So when you are giving instructions to OpenAI and you want it to give you Python code, all right, this is basically how you're gonna give it. You're gonna tell it. All right. You can even specify the language that you want. So you can even say Python 3. All right, and then it's going to run it in Python 3. If you want Python 2, it's going to run it in Python 2. So let's say I wanted to do Python 3 code, all right, and then I wanted to say generate a random list of 5 addresses in the USA, all right? And I wanted to run this code, okay? So let's pick DaVinci. Let's give it a little bit of space to do this. 1,000, and let's use 0 temperature with the coding, and let's do that, all right? So let's generate. Okay. Okay, it's taking a bit of time. It's a bit slow. All right, it's writing the code. But if you're familiar with Python, you can already see that this is Python code. Like you can see that this is Python code. So I specified at the beginning that I wanted it to give me Python code, and I wanted it to give me a random list. So it's going to run a function. There you go. So what it's doing here, if you know Python code, it's giving you random addresses. I didn't even tell it how many random addresses. I was very vague. All right, and it's got some towns over there, and it's got whatever, and then you run this function def main generate random lists of 5 addresses, print the addresses range 1 to 5, and generate address, which is going to be this function over there. All right, and it's going to generate an address from there. All right, so this is how you get it to write Python code. But let's say you wanted to write JavaScript code. All right, so you would say JavaScript there at the top. And then with JavaScript, when you are highlighting JavaScript, you basically use the double, what you call these slash signs. So this is a commenting out in JavaScript code. So basically the way you're going to give instruction to Codex is, you just imagine this is a text editor, and you were actually writing the code in the text editor. Depending on the language that you're writing with, how would you write the code? Okay, so Codex is smart enough to figure out your formatting and your context, the type of code that you want. And you can even guide it in some cases. But if you specifically wanted to write JavaScript code, you can put it at the top if it doesn't pick it up. But this is not even necessary, because if you just had the commas like that, all right, and you said generate a random list of 5 addresses in the US, and then instead of having the 3 whatevers, you did that, all right, it should technically know that the code that you want is JavaScript code, all right? Let's give it some time and see if it will figure this out. Okay, it looks like it didn't figure it out, so we haven't given it enough. It's a bit confused. And remember, this is like still beta, right? This is still like early testing, beta stage. So maybe this is one of the things they'll figure out, because sometimes it does get stuck like that when it doesn't know what you want it to do. So I'm gonna add that JavaScript at the top there, all right? And then I'm gonna in the USA, a random list of 5 addresses in the USA, and then I'm gonna say generate. Let's see if it does something this time. Okay, so there's a lot of spacing here. I don't know where that comes from. Okay, so let's actually like take this out completely. It's most proficient in Python, and they'll tell you that OpenAI Codex is most proficient in Python. So let me refresh this whole page so that I get a brand new, because there's a lot of spacing in there that's confusing it. All right, so let's do it like that and run this. All right, you can see it's trying. Yes, there you go. It's generating the code. It's a little bit slow on the JavaScript side, but this is, if you know JavaScript, you can tell this is not the Python code. This is JavaScript. Okay, so it's still generating. It's a little bit slow, but you can see that it's getting somewhere, all right, with generating the code. And I also, to be fair, I didn't give it enough instructions on exactly what you wanted to do. But I wanted to start with this section just to let you know, to give you an idea of how to tell, OpenAI what programming language you want, all right? And if you removed all of that, all right, and you wanted to get to run this in your own computer, for example, you would say view code over there, and depending on the programming language that you're using, whether it's Node.js or Python, you can then copy this and then you can run it in your local machine. All right, so that's all I'm gonna say about programming languages and Playground, okay, because it took me a while to figure this out, and I'm sure many people are gonna initially struggle with this. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to build a landing page. And of course, we want that landing page to be built in HTML. And following what I started with, you would know that when you are highlighting out things in HTML, this is how you do it. You would have like the whatever's the brackets, whatever, and then you know that this is HTML, right? So I'm gonna start by giving it an instruction and saying, all right, I'd like you to generate for me. Let's give it some more space there. All right, generate for me a web page with the title Skolo Online. All right, let's just do that. Let's give it that and see what it comes up with. All right, there you go. So this is a basic. Oopsies, it's still going. All right, and so what it did is that it created this inside of brackets, okay, this HTML, and it's actually writing a Python code to be able to open up a socket, if I can see this clearly, and then it does something. All right, that's not what I want. I want it to just generate me HTML code. All right, so there's a little bit of a nifty trick that I learned that you can give it when you want it to generate HTML code. And let me just create a new new file over here. All right, and then let me just call it starter.html. All right, and you know how like the sort of basic HTML, what you call it, boilerplate. Okay, you can get that in in this code thingy by just typing out, yeah, HTML, and then it creates an HTML starter template. So this is a typical HTML boilerplate template, and you can see every time it starts with this doc type. All right, so what we're going to do is that we're going to prompt it. All right, so we're going to write like we're writing an HTML page. We're going to prompt it with the doc type so that it knows that I want it to produce actual HTML content, not a Python script that has a string of an HTML that it then uses a some sort of method of displaying it, because then it's thinking out in its own mind how I want that page to be created. So I want to actually direct it towards actually just build an HTML page. An HTML page would start with doc type. So let's give it that and run it this time. And this time it should hopefully generate an HTML page. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna stop it. It's doing a whole lot of things I didn't ask it to do. All right. So basically, there it is. If I removed everything at the bottom there, all right. If I removed everything at the bottom there, and you can see this is, I started with the doc type HTML, and that's the HTML, that's the title, and then that's the body. There's just a header one and a paragraph and whatever. And if you actually copied this, right, and you pasted it there, right, whatever, and you saved this, let's save this. All right, starter.html, and then let's run this. All right, so let's copy that and paste it here. All right, let's say starter. I just want to get this website. So this is the website that it has created for me. It just gave it a heading and it just gave it a body. All right, so where I copied this from, this is the web page I want to build. All right, I want to build an actual website with a menu at the top. I want to put in a title. I want to put in some images over there. I want to add some services, a contact. So I really want to like build something that would be a typical website. I wanted to use Bootstrap. So there's a lot of things that I want on this website. I don't want something as simple as that. All right, so I'm going to show you now how to get from this, all right, to something like this. And of course, if you can learn that, then you can decide for yourself what are all the other things you can add in between to make it look the way that you want it to look. But basically, if you have the CSS classes that you want to use, if you have the images that you want to use, if you have the content that you want to use, you can build any website just by giving it instructions. All right, and let's try and get this. All right, so I'm going to close that. Let's try and get this from this, all right, to that, okay, at the very least. All right, so we're going to start by saying create a web page with a title, Skolo Online. All right, so maybe I want it to say Skolo Online Learning. All right, so let's do that. Then after that, let's do like let's import Bootstrap. Okay, and every time you want to give it an instruction, put it inside of a comment assigned like that. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it there. Right, I'm going to remove the current comment in there. All right, so I can copy a couple of these in there because I'm going to give it a couple of instructions. All right, and then basically, yeah, we will take it from there. So the first instruction I want to give it is import Bootstrap library, CSS and JavaScript. And what's really cool about this OpenAI, like this is really amazing. Like I tend to always misspell the word bootstrap, and that happens all the time. So let's say I misspelled bootstrap and I said bootstrap. So let's say I said boot and I forgot the S and I just said bootstrap, right? OpenAI is going to figure out what I'm trying to do. All right. Then the next one, let's say I want to import, some fonts, some cool fonts library. Because imagine you really don't know coding, all right? You want to just import some cool fonts library, all right? And then I want to say add a section. No, add a bootstrap Bootstrap. Add a Bootstrap menu at the top with the following links. So I want a menu that says about us, about. I want it to have a link that says services, and I want it to have a link that says contact. All right, I'm gonna do 3 sections on this website. So add a top menu with the following links, okay, and then I'm gonna say add a logo to the menu, okay, with the following image. All right, so I'm going to get an image over here. This is my logo. I'm going to use this logo, right? With the following image, okay, use a small logo. Yeah, use a small logo, not too big. What else do you want to do? Yeah, let's add a section, add a container with a section, center the contents of the section, add a header 1 with the content Skolo Online Learning, add a paragraph with the content. What do you want to say? Skolo Online Learning provides free learning content on the following topics: web development, Python development, e-commerce development. What else do you want to say? E-commerce development, Python Django, and Python Flask. All right. Then let's see. All right. Let's say add a footer. Add a footer with our contact information. I'm not even going to tell it what the contact information is. Okay. Use blue background and white text, cool font of about 12 pixels. Yeah, let's run that. Let us run that and see what it's going to generate. I'm interested. Okay, let's stop this cancel, right? So what we've done there is that that's okay. So we need to actually do this. Okay, don't forget this, because otherwise it doesn't know what you want it to do. So let's start with that so that we're prompting it as to actually start developing the website itself. All right, so let's start it with that. Otherwise it just continues what you're saying. There you go. Then it's now actually creating the website. There you go. It's importing Bootstrap. And even though I misspelled Bootstrap, it figured out what I wanted it to do. All right, it's importing some fonts. I didn't ask it to import fonts. It's importing the fonts. Don't use all my credit importing fonts. Why are you importing so many fonts? Why are you doing that? Dish. Okay. So I don't want it to do that. Let's see what instruction made it want to go and import all of that. Oh goodness, what's happening? Okay. Oh, it's still working. No, cancel. Let's start by canceling because it's like it's re-importing Open Sans Roboto. It's trying to get all the fonts. I don't need all these fonts. All right. So let's just, because I'm asking you to import a couple of things, maybe things that should import a lot of that. So let's just start with the language English. Leave it there. Let's not import font awesome. All right. Oh, import some cool font library. So, okay, that's why I did that. Okay, import. Okay, let's remove that. Let it not import any font. I don't want any fonts. Okay, let's just work with the standard fonts. It's going out of its way to get too many fonts. Okay, so there you go. We got Bootstrap CDN. It's building the website. There's the nav bar with the contacts and everything. All right. And the HTML ends, they did some other things. So let's see. It's got the copyright, it's got the container, it's got the menu at the top, about. All right, so let's remove that. It's highlighted out anyway. Let's copy that and just see what the website actually looks like. Right, so copy everything. Let's save it over here, save that. And let's go to the starter. Is it the starter? No, that's not the starter. The starter is over here. So let me close that. So this is now the starter HTML page. Let's refresh it. There you go. So this is what it has built. Skolo Online Learning. Skolo Online Learning provides free learning. And it has a copyright at the bottom. It didn't add any contact information like I asked it to. All right. So let's see. Let's go back to the instructions that we're giving it. Oh, let me actually see over there. Did it add the logo? It didn't add the logo. Did we ask for the logo? Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna remove everything and just leave the instructions, okay? Because I wanna rerun these instructions differently. All right. So let's see over there. Did I ask for it for the logo? Yeah. Add a logo to the menu above, with the following image. All right, so let's make this inside of proper. Okay, let me actually say use width, I don't know, let me say I don't know, 50 pixels dimensions. Yeah. Add a container. I like the container that it added at the top, so I'm not going to change anything about that. All right. I'm just going to say add some spacing. All right. So over here, I think I want some spacing before the container. All right. I'm going to say add some spacing. Okay. And then I'm going to say before the footer, add a footer with our contact information. All right, I'm going to say add some spacing as well with our contact information, with our social media links. Yeah. Social media links. Use blue background, white text. It didn't use a blue background. It used a different type background. So I'm going to give it the instructions again. So you see, with this OpenAI Codex, you sort of have to play around with the instructions and figure out the right way to give it to them, to give it to it. Just same way as what we did with when we're doing the other engines. Okay, you have to like work around. The key is how you provide the instructions and how you provide the prompts. How you give it the prompts and the instructions has a huge difference on what it produces. All right, what you can even do at the top here, maybe to be very, very specific, I can say HTML, all right? Remember that helped with the previous instructions that it understood that I wanted to generate HTML, okay? So let's try that. All right, there you go. It gets the Bootstrap CDN as usual. It's getting the nav bar. It's got a little bit stuck there. So I suppose this is a little bit buggy. I have noticed that it sometimes gets stuck. Like now, it's stuck. All right. Um, I'm gonna remove everything again and just get it back to the doc type HTML. Right. And generate again. Right. Push. Right. There's the nav bar. It's doing the nav bar. It's doing the nav links. There you go. It's got the section. It's got the footer. Okay, so let's cancel. It's doing too many things that we don't need. Okay, so we got everything up to the bottom there. All right, so maybe let's not do this HTML thing at the top. I think that confuses it. Let's just do that. All right, so let's copy that. Let's copy that. Let's paste it there. Let's save all of that and let us see what our website looks like now. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Okay. Copyright, Skolo Inc., all rights reserved. It still didn't add any contact information. And it still didn't add our logo. All right, it's fine. We're going to leave it there. So I think I've demonstrated in this video how to use the Codex to generate a landing page. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use landing page instructions that I've tinkered with quite a bit. All right. And I'm going to, replace everything in here with these instructions. All right. So I've tinkered with this a bit, and I'll show you what's there in these instructions, what I'm specifically doing, and these instructions are are the ones that are used to actually produce this page. So this page was produced with the same instructions, and I'm gonna try them. And if it doesn't work, I've got them saved somewhere, and I'll give you the output that I got the first time. Because you can see with the OpenAI API, you're getting a different result every time, even if you give it the exact same instructions. Because it's not something that's programmed to always have the same output for the same instructions. It's an intelligence that's programmed to think and imagine what you want. So every time you're going to get a different output, even if you give it the exact same instructions, because every time it's going through a different thinking process. All right. So you have to play around with your instructions to make sure that you're getting the results that you want. Okay. So let me take you through the instructions. All right. Where is it? Just. All right. So I wanted to copy that. All right. And delete all of this, all right, and paste these instructions here. All right, so let me show you what the instructions are. It's create a web page with a title, import Bootstrap library, CSS and JavaScript, import Font Awesome library, create Bootstrap menu with the following logo. That's the logo. Okay, I think that's why it was not creating the logo, because I was giving the logo instruction in a different line. So perhaps it helps also learn this, and this is through tinkering, that if you want to build a whole section, rather give all the instructions in one line, not create one line and then try to have another line to continue with the instruction for the first section. So over here, if you wanted to create a Bootstrap menu with a logo and the sections, perhaps put all of that in one line of instruction. It works better than separating them. All right. So that's a tip for you. And then add the following sections to the menu. Add a landing section with the following header and some paragraph. I gave it what it must write in there. Center the above content in the middle of the div with a bluish background. This never worked, so I can even delete it, but I'm going to leave it there. Add the about section with 1 row and 2 columns. So I'm telling it to add the about section with 1 row and 2 columns. So this is this section over here. So after I've given it these instructions, then I tell it to add another section with 1 row and 2 columns. All right. 1 row and 2 columns. Where is it? And 1 row and 2 columns. With a padding and margin top. Okay, and then I say add the following image. Okay, and then add the following paragraph. So this is one long instruction. All right, add a services section with 1 row and 3 columns with a padding and a margin top, because I noticed there isn't a lot of spacing. Add the following services title. So I give it all the different titles of the services. I didn't give it the instructions for the content. I think it figured that out on its own. Add the contact section with a padding and margin top. Okay, add the following contact information. So this time I told it what contact information to add: the phone number, the address, the Twitter, the everything, and then that's it. And then I'm gonna leave it there, and then I'm going to run this. Okay, remember we need to always start it with the doc type. All right, so once you've given it all of that, you need to give it a doc type, and then it knows that it must produce HTML content. All right, and I've given it 2,000 characters. Maybe let's make it 3,000 characters so that it doesn't run out of characters. And then let's generate. There you go. It got English proper this time. It got the CN. It's getting the font awesome. It's getting the style CSS. If I had a style CSS, that's actually quite nice that it thought about that. It's adding the menu at the top. You can see there there's services. It's adding the title. Okay, these are the two sections with that image and the paragraph there. Then these are the services. You can see it's 3 columns that it's gonna add in there, and then it's producing all of that. I mean, like, this is amazing, guys. Like, I was like blown away the first time I saw this. I couldn't believe my eyes. So now, if you're like a person that doesn't know programming and you want to build a website, okay, you don't ever have to learn CSS at all. You just have to learn how to give good instructions. So programming has moved from having to actually learn CSS to learning how to give an AI some pretty cool instructions, because I've noticed something with the AI. The results that you get really depend on how well you instruct it. Okay, so I'm going to save all of this. I mean, like, you don't even have to learn how to do that. Okay, so let's save all of that and let's run this. So remember, this is the starter thingy. So let's refresh that. There you go. There's our website. This time it added some margin there, but it didn't add the margin there. All right. And there's the contact information and the social media. So you see, the second time the website is slightly different. The first time I ran it, it did that. All right. And the second time I ran it, it did that with the exact same instructions. So what you can do now, when you get this, I mean, this is really pretty cool. And if you had your own CSS library, you can see at the top, it imported CSS for you. You see, like, it just sort of like, intuitively, you would have a CSS folder with a style.css in there, and you wanted to style it separately. You could put your styling in there, or you could just add this line manually later. Right? And then let's say you want some spacing over here. You could just add your spacing yourself. And you can see the links, it didn't quite get them right. Okay, so I want this about to say /about, and I wanted the services to say #services. So you can like now work with your HTML and edit it a little bit, right? The way you want it, so it's not going to be 100% perfect, but it has done, in my mind, 95% of the work that you would need. And if you wanted to build a landing page generator, I'm going to give you some tips. I'm not going to show you exactly how to do it, but I'm going to give you some tips and you can go figure it out, because I'm going to build my own landing page generator. And if I show you how well, I don't want competition, right? But let me show you how you would do it, right? You've got this playground that can now generate HTML content. That's the biggest part of being able to build an HTML generator. The next thing that you would want to do is you want to generate content for these sections. So your landing page is going to have a header section. It's going to have an about us section. It's going to have a services and a contact information section. So all you need is you ask your client on the front end to enter this content for you, or even you could even use the AI to generate some of it. So you could just say, what is your business about? My business is Skolo Online. It's about online learning. All right. Do you have some images you want us to use? If you don't have images, what type of images would you like us to use? We can search the internet for our own images that we're going to put all over the website. Then you can use the AI content generator to expand on the services. You've got the description. I showed you on this channel how to use this. I showed you on this channel how to use this engine to generate content, like marketing content. You can use the same engine to generate landing page content. All right. So you can prompt it to give you a description. You can prompt it to give you a a services, outline. You can prompt it to do all of that, So you could literally build a tool where all your client enters is what their business name, their high level description of their business, and the services that they offer, even if he just listed them in bullet points, right? And then you could use the content generator to expand on those services. And then you could ask them their contact information. And then you combine all of that in the engine to get the HTML thingy to build the landing page for the person. And so then you can just have an output of a landing page, and maybe you give them 3 or 4 different options and they pick the one that they like. Can you see how you would build a landing page generator with something like this? It would be simple. Of course, I've given you the tips. That's your homework. Go home, think about how you want to do that. And I think I'm going to end this video here. And thank you guys very much for watching. I think there's amazing things you can do with this. I mean, I'm just still scratching the surface. I'd like, for you guys to comment in the description underneath and let me know, what you think you would be able to build with this. I mean, this is really just blew my mind, the capabilities. I mean, we're going to go from no code to AI code. I think this is going to completely revolutionize how people deal with code. So I'll see you guys next week, and thank you again for watching.